everybody. Thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. Today with me is Robert Clancy, the co-host of Mindset Reset Show. And we're going to talk a little bit about the dangers of fighting in movies and all the injuries that I have sustained while shooting.
Yeah, it's in the Blonde Fury, or Lady Reporter, as it's also known as. You jump off this building. There's an explosion going on behind you because you run into this building against all these people that are coming out to save a baby. And that was the scene that they put in the movie and risk your life for. And you got this plastic baby, and you jump off, and then you just land on the ground like, oh, look, I'm okay. But I know that you jumped off into some pretty sketchy stuff for that scene.
Yeah, the interesting thing is when I first started my movie career, it was in Hong Kong. And I just thought doing all these dangerous stuff is just for the norm of it. And I remember there was a lot of injuries on Lady Reporter. But first, when I did Yes, Madam, there was a scene that was cut out. Michelle Yeoh and I were doing a scene in a bathroom, and we were so bruised and beat up from the previous scene because we didn't have any pads on that every time we'd fight, we would flinch. Our face would flinch because it would hurt so much. So Yun Kuei had to cut that scene completely out because of that reason. And then we learned to wear pads. You had to wear long sleeves so you could wear pads in. In Yes, Madam, one of the dangerous scenes is I got hit in the nose with a sword. I was fighting multiple people, multiple attackers, and I turned around, got hit right in the nose. My nose swelled up. Yun Kuei came over to me and said, "Oh, your nose looks better." And then I had righting wrongs. It was just a lot of tough fighting. I don't think other than major bruises, I had too much problems. I know there was one scene in the ending fight scene, I had to fall flat on my face without letting my hands touch first. I had to just fall flat forward. And that's like really hard to do if you think about it, if you're standing up and go fall flat forward.
And didn't Yeoh, he jumped off the balcony and ended up hurting his back, didn't he, in righting wrongs?
Yeah, Yun Biu got hurt doing the scene where you jump off of the balcony where he landed. What they did is he didn't have any wires on. He just did it, and they took out like the dirt and they put a mat under it, and then they put grass and dirt over it. So he had a little bit of padding, but yeah, it was such a jolt on his back. When he did, he got hurt. And in Yes, Madam, the guy that comes through in the ending, he falls through the glass and comes down into a water fountain. He got hurt on that one. That one was a really, really tough injury. And it's funny because a lot of people have seen that, a lot of professional stunt people, and they said, that's not a real person. And I'm like, yes, it is. It is a real person. I was there. I saw him. That, and then Lady Reporter, the same guy that did that stunt, there was a scene where, okay, and this, you didn't know better back in the 80s, but they had some rats, and they taped up the rat's body, so the only thing left was the legs. And there was a scene where there was like a rat comes down and gets in my soup, and I think I hit it with a bat or something, and it goes in the guy's mouth.
Yes.
They have that scene, and then he puts it in, and they forgot about the claws. This rat is still alive. They just have him like taped up. It's in his mouth, and it was scratching the heck out of his chin. When he got done with that scene, his chin was all scratched up from the claws of the rat. And I was like, oh, man. I was like...
Well, I saw that just recently, and yeah, I was looking at it. I said, that looks like a real rat in that guy's mouth.
It was a real rat. And then the scene you were talking about, where I had to jump off the building, I had the flames behind me. I was told if I don't jump, I'm going to get burned, so I had to go. I jumped. I land on the mattresses and boxes that they had. Not a nice big crash pad, but 2 stories into boxes. Hit myself in the nose. I thought I broke my nose. Had to do that scene twice. Then in Lady Reporter, I'm fighting the Thai guy, and he was so hard of a fighter that none of the stuntmen wanted to fight him. So I have a dress on because they want me to fight in heels and a dress. I could not put pads on at all. So he did a scene where he kicks my shins, and again, I had to fall flat on my face. That hurt like heck. I think that hurt me more than anything I've ever done, is having him kick me in the shins and trip me down.
And that's the fight scene that's in that office where you run across the wall, and I think you hit him with the heel. You know, it gets stuck in his leg. That's the type. Yes. And I think one of the other, you've talked about the other dangers, because a lot of the actors that you work with don't speak English, or you don't speak their language, and you don't know when cut is happening. They don't know if you're saying, hey, that hurts. Ease up a little bit.
Yeah, so that was a brutal fight scene. That was very brutal because it ended up, we put on metal shin guards, or not shin guards, but forearm guards, because he was hurting me so bad. A regular pad didn't have any protection, so I put the metal on, and then I was hurting him, so he put metal on. So we're fighting metal to metal. Didn't hurt, but it made a lot of like clanking sounds. But there was a scene where, I hit him under the chin with the heel of my foot, and that was actually a really cinematic moment. Where I hit the floor with my heel and then come up and hit him under the chin. And then I think there was a scene where I stabbed him with my heel. That hurt him. There was this scene in the end where I'm hanging off the truck with just my leg, like draped over the window, and the truck is rolling with me with my head to the ground. That was very dangerous. The scene in the basket was so dangerous because there was a big hole in it. I'm up. The only thing holding me is two stunt guys. And I'm like, don't drop it. Don't drop it. And when I did Prince of the Sun, we had the same thing. And that's like, if you were on a wire, that was their method, that two guys would hold the wire. And one of the guys let go on the one guy that was fighting in Prince of the Sun, and he slid through the pillars, hit his back, because we were fighting, again, another dangerous scene. We were fighting on pillars that ranged from 2 feet to 20 feet. And it's really hard, when you're fighting like just on a space like this, and you've got to keep your balance. Even though you're on a wire, you still don't want to fall off. Then there was the rope scene where a stuntman broke his leg on the rope, came down and just broke his shin. Then one of the guys got hurt. He fell. The net actually collapsed when we were on it. He fell from the top to the truck that was underneath it, and he had some very serious injuries. So, it's very, very hard. So many dangers. The funny thing is, the only time I've ever broken a bone was in China O'Brien. And that is, I had a guy, and I had to pull him in by the lapels. And they didn't have, it was kind of a small production, and they didn't have professional stuntmen sometimes fighting. They're going, oh, hey, okay, just let's get this guy here and do it. So when I pulled him in, instead of coming forward, which he should have, that a stunt person would do, he pushed back and broke my finger. So I had a cast on it. And there's a couple scenes where you can see, I think it's like there's a rally and I'm on the stage. And if you freeze frame it, you can see my fist is like this, and I have a little cast on.
You can see, you can definitely spot the little white cast on that one.
Yeah, there's a little cast on my finger. And then I took it off really quick, and I had a broken finger. So I fought with that. But also during China O'Brien, the pyrotechnics man, he was setting an explosion, and it went off in his lap, and he died. So, no matter what kind of movie you're doing, action, there's always that threat that you're going to get seriously hurt. So a lot of people think it's glorious, it's glamorous to shoot action movies, but you have to be really tough, because the minute you get someone on the set and they complain about it, they're not going to want to work with them. So you just got to suck it up, keep those injuries and do it. And then I remember I was shooting a movie called No Retreat, No Surrender, and they told us that we had to, there was, again, the explosion behind, so you had to go in this water, and the explosion went off. Well, the water was green, and it was very smelly, and they said, this water is toxic. they said. So we're way out of the city. We're about 2 hours out of the city. We're going to shoot that scene. You guys are going to be all wet. And then we're going to hurry up, take you back to the hotel and take a shower. So we're thinking, oh my gosh, 2 hours, we're going to be like this. And we looked over and there were buffalo in the water peeing. And they were peeing green. And that's why the water was green, because it was full of buffalo pee. And I remember when I went in to do ADR, which is like sometimes when you do movies that some of the sound isn't right, you have to go in and say your lines over. The guy was going, I tried so hard to color correct that film. The water was green. And I'm like, because it was green.
You can definitely see it being green in there. And you guys are swimming and it's going in your mouth and it does not look good.
And then when I was shooting a movie called Triple Cross in Indonesia. And I was so careful on what to eat because I didn't want to get sick, because a friend of mine told me he picked up a parasite there. And then there's an ending scene where I'm getting tortured. My hands are up and they're putting a hose on me. And I'm talking while I'm doing it. Well, I didn't even think. Nobody thought. It's regular hose water. So I came back and I remember I was in the movie theater, and all of a sudden I was like, my stomach started, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I come back, and 10 minutes later, I gotta go to the bathroom. And this kept happening. And Max Thayer, who was in the movie with me, said, he was in No Retreat, No Surrender. He said, I picked up a parasite, and I almost died from it because I didn't know. He goes, maybe you should go get it checked. And I went and got checked, and yes, I got a parasite from the water. So the next time back to Asia, I was only eating at Burger King and McDonald's. I think I gained like 5 pounds, while shooting that movie because I was so afraid to pick up that parasite, because the medicine that you take is nasty. It's worse than the parasite that you have to take. So again, sometimes it's not only the physical injuries, it's also
just the environment. The environment can get you where you're filming.
Yes, environment as well.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot more we have to cover on this, and we'll definitely do another segment on these the dangers of what you're dealing with in getting these films done. And people don't realize, how much work goes into some of those scenes, but also how much danger is involved in some of even the simple scenes that you're seeing. That it's like, oh, that's just a little funny part. Well, somebody just risked their life for that, and it was you, jumping off the building with a baby in your hands.
When I was doing Yes, Madam, Dick Way hit me in the head and hit me so hard he split my internal ear open and blood was coming down. I thought I was going to die. So they took me to the hospital and he looked at it and he said, you got hit so hard, your internal ear, it's separated. It's in there so deep I can't get in to stitch it. So just go back to the set and continue filming. So I still had blood coming out of my ear when I was shooting that. So that was a really dangerous injury when I was doing Lady Reporter and I did the jump. After I did that jump, they had me jump off a ledge probably about 50 times. And it was like trying to be a gymnast. I had to stick it. I couldn't even go like that. If I did, it wasn't good. Baby in the hand and heels on, right? So that day I went home. And I thought I was going to pass out, so I went to the doctors. I said, well, I'm not feeling good. And he looked at me and he said, your organs are all jumbled. I went, what? My organs are jumbled? What does that mean, my organs are jumbled? He said, yeah, take these 100 pills, and you'll be fine.
Well, I have to say, there's no way I would be jumping off a second-story building onto a cardboard box and a mattress and then ended up with if I hit myself in my face with my knee and then had jumbled organs, I would not be going back to the set the next day.
No, well, I was shooting, it was the Blonde Fury again with Vincent Lin, and I had to kick him really hard in the groin. And Vincent's going like, do you have a cup? And they're like, no. So they bring him a roll of toilet paper and they start unwrapping it and they hand him it. And they go, what's that for? And they're like, put that in your pants. And he's like, oh, that's not going to be too much protection. But we were like, hey there, Vincent, you have to see it here.
We're going to drop that clip in. We're just going to have the still frame from that because you can see it on his face.
And that was a pretty tough scene. And also, some of the things that look like nothing. It's like I remember when I was doing Blonde Fury or Lady Reporter in the ending scene there. I had to come around the wall, and when I came around the wall, I was getting hit in the face with a roundhouse kick, full on hit in the face. And you would go, and you couldn't flinch, like you're looking, and that kick is coming, but you could not portray it on camera that anticipate it coming. You just had to take that to the face, even little things like that. And I remember when I was shooting Yes Madam with Eddie Meyer, we were in the airport, and this is my first night shooting, and I have to come back and hit him with an elbow, just an elbow. And Yun Kuei was saying, harder, harder. And he only had a tank top on. And he's in my ear going, no, please don't hit me harder. It's hurting. I can't take it anymore. And I'm like, oh, my God, who do I listen to? Do I listen to the actor? Do I listen to the director? And I learned really quick that, they want you to hit hard. And when I came from to America and started shooting martial law, the stunt guys were going, don't hit it so hard. And I'm like, that's what I'm using. Like, no, don't even touch. And I was like, oh my God. In Hong Kong, like, you had to hit, That was one of Yun Kuei's, like, favorite sayings is, harder, hit harder.
Well, you certainly have. And no, I'm not going to take a hit by you, so it's all good. There's some people I think that would pay to have that happen, but... I
remember fighting with Dick Wei, I had to just block like this, and he kept hitting me with a roundhouse kick. And then at the end of the day, my hand was like swollen like a balloon. It was so bad. But then they gave me some jiao, which is Chinese medicine, and now imagine my hand, it's swollen like crazy, and they were pushing the blood with their thumbs with the medicine on. I thought I was going to pass out. That pain was so bad. But surprisingly enough, the next day I got up, it was all purple, but it wasn't swollen.
No, you just need Mr. Miyagi there to, he's going to do the Daniel-san and fix you.
Even before I started doing movies, when I was a young kid, I went to China to train. And when I went to train there, it was to train wushu. It was the first time they'd seen Americans there. I mean, they never saw people with blue eyes. I mean, they were all the people would stand around to look at me with, like, eyes are blue, right? So we were back up in the mountains, and, what I was talking about.
Oh, we're leaving this in. So you had blue eyes, and you're going up to the mountains.
For a minute. On our first day of training, what I was going to say is, if you couldn't do a split, they would literally force your shoulders down so you could go. And I remember we were playing like basketball. That was how they did a warm up, and I pulled my hamstring, and they sent me to the Chinese doctor, and he like dug in so hard on my hamstring that I had fingerprints all over my hamstring. But the next day it was better. So their methods are a little, the training was brutal, but they knew if they injured you how to fix you up.
Keep you going. Well, I'm glad that you're fixed up and still going, because you made 60 of these movies and somehow got through all of that, and we really appreciate what you've contributed to the martial arts world, and this is great information and really good insights into those what you risked your life for.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is I miss those Hong Kong days. I miss doing that action. It's always been my favorite, fighting in Hong Kong and doing those fight scenes. And I hope that I can do some more of that, that I get a chance again to work with some of the Chinese directors and get to do that type of action. Because even though you think you're going to die, you're so bruised, you're so hurt, when you heal and you see the fight scenes, they're just astonishing. I even look at them now and go, oh wow, yeah, I remember that. So it is, to me, the best fight scenes ever. So thank you. That's a little insight about injuries. So if you're thinking that you want to be a stunt person or you want to be a martial art action star, you have to learn to say, pain is my friend. So thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Hi, this is Cynthia Rothrock. Thank you for watching my YouTube channel. And if you like the videos, please put a like on it and refer it to your friends.